City Commission meeting this Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. Thank you all for being here, both in person and in virtually. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'd just like to give you some ideas to how our proceedings are undertaken here. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and we take attendance of the City Commission. We have some announcements. We'll have a moment of silence for some folks that passed away recently. And then we go into some presentations. These presentations are intended to recognize individuals, organizations, or events that are important to this community. And tonight, I believe we have 6 presentations. So I'm very excited about that. And then once those are concluded, then we go into our regular meeting. And we encourage people to continue to stay on either on TV or however you're listening to tonight's proceedings, or to even remain in chambers if you'd like to do that as well. So as we begin, I ask you all to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Moritas.
Here.
Commissioner Glassman.
Here.
Commissioner McKenzie.
Here.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Here.
Mayor Trentalis.
Here, we have full attendance. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you all to share with me a moment of silence. 2 individuals who passed away recently. Eileen Helfer, who I knew for many, many years, who was an activist in our community on the beach and throughout the city. Always a smile, and just so sad to see that she has passed away. And also our former Vice President of the United States, Walter Mondale, also known as Fritz Mondale. All the years he served our country and actually established a milestone in nominating the first female to stand with him and run for election as President and Vice President of the United States. So
Mayor,
if you please,
Mayor,
yes.
Can we add George Floyd and his family in our thoughts and prayers?
We can certainly add George Floyd, who's, and as many of you may know, the jury came back a few moments ago and rendered a guilty verdict on all 3 counts against Officer Chauvin, former Officer Chauvin, who was found guilty today in that trial. So please join me in sharing this moment of silence. Okay, thank you so much. We have a couple of agenda announcements, but before I get there, I just want to make an announcement with regard to people who are not here in person, but may want to participate virtually. For those who want to speak and want to sign up to do so, I would ask that you visit this following website. I'll recite it. It's bit.ly/virtual CC meetings. I'll repeat that. It's bit.ly/virtual CC meetings. You go to that site and you'll be able to sign up to speak tonight on any one of the agenda items. Now, to help ensure decorum, we ask that you please abide by the following guidelines. Please refrain from any behavior that is disruptive, distractive, profane, or inhibits the meeting in any way. While you're on the phone waiting for your opportunity to speak, please mute the meeting broadcast on whatever station you're listening on. And I will call upon you when it is your turn to speak and also notify you when your time has expired. City staff has automatically added speakers in the to listen only mode, and you will be unmuted to speak when recognized. Once you have completed speaking, you will be muted and may either hang up to exit the meeting or stay connected to listen to the remainder of the meeting. So, having said all that, there's two walk-ons. One is a resolution urging the legislature to oppose House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012. Is that a moot point now? I heard that the Senate.
No, I believe it made it out of rules, but it still has to go to the floor of the Senate and also to the governor. So it would still be time.
Okay. And revision R1, change the resolution exhibit, change the wording in the charter board appointment. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes and the agenda?
Moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded twice. So please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentals.
Yes, and the minutes are approved as well as tonight's agenda. So we begin with our presentations, and our first presentation is going to be made by our new Vice Mayor, Heather Moritas, who will present a proclamation declaring April 23rd, 2021 as International Children's Day in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and has some other special certificates to present. Vice Mayor.
There you go. Thank you, Mayor. Okay. I'd like to call to the front all of our friends and representatives here from the Turkish community, starting with the Consul General of Turkey, Mr. Bush. Come on up, and along with everybody else, please come on up. I'll let you stand right there. Sorry, I'm back here behind this plastic. I can't be with you. So you can stand at the front and turn around and face that way, because that's where the camera will be. And I'll make this proclamation, and then I will ask, let's see, Bush, if you want to come and speak, we'll switch spots when I'm done. Okay, sounds good. And then you can come over here, or I can give you the handheld mic, whichever you prefer. You want to come here? Okay, super. So we'll have Jeff. So thank you. Now that we have the logistics under control, let's get started. I have today the honor of issuing a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Fort Lauderdale in recognition of Children's Day. Whereas in 1921, Turkey proclaimed April 23rd as Children's Day, declaring that power rests with the people and the future belongs to the children. Whereas every year since 1921, the children in Turkey celebrate Children's Day as a national holiday with various festivities and programs. Whereas inspired by the Turkish holiday, UNESCO declared April 23rd, 1979 as the International Year of the Child, and UNICEF decided to recognize this important day as the International Children's Day, a day of worldwide fraternity and understanding between children. And whereas observing April 23rd as Children's Day will promote the welfare of the children, not only in the city of Fort Lauderdale, but also in the world as a day of activity devoted just for them, whereas Americans of Turkish descent in the city of Fort Lauderdale have played a significant role in the educational, cultural, economic, and civic development of our community, whereas we recognize the many individuals of Turkish descent who have chosen our community as their home and who share their rich heritage with us. Now, therefore, we, as the city commissioners of the city of Fort Lauderdale, do hereby proclaim April 23rd, 2021 as Children's Day in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and do encourage our neighbors to join the Turks and Turkish Americans as they celebrate Children's Day, dated this 20th day of April, from our Mayor, Dean J. Trentalis. So thank you for that, Mayor.
We also have a special announcement, right?
And then the mayor has a special announcement too. Yes, and then we will hear some words from Borsch, the Consul General of Turkey from Miami.
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna switch.
Honorable Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor, Honorable Commissioners, officials of the City of Fort Lauderdale, presidents of Florida Turkish American Association, distinguished audience, and the audience who joins us via broadcast today. I'm once again honored to be addressing you on this memorable occasion where the city of Fort Lauderdale will announce its proclamation issued in recognition of the April 23rd National Sovereignty and Children's Day. We are truly grateful to the city and its management for this recognition, which gave us an opportunity to highlight the value and importance of this day, as well as the achievements of the Turkish American community in my consular district. April 23rd marks the 101st anniversary of the establishment of the Turkish Grand National Assembly, which was an indicator to the shift of regime from monarchy to democracy for our nation. The founder of the Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, later devoted this day to children with the motto, "Children of today are the leaders of tomorrow." As it has become a tradition in Turkey since then, for leaders in Turkey to allow children to symbolically sit at leadership seats for a day on the April 23rd and give instructions to respective institutions in addressing the issues of our contemporary agenda through children's eyes. Majority of these instructions, believe it or not, are concentrated around peace and friendship. With this background, Sister Cities program of the city of Fort Lauderdale, in cooperation with the local Turkish American community, organizes every year an essay contest entitled "If I Were the Mayor." In their essays, children studying at great schools in Fort Lauderdale would write how they would rule the city if they were the mayor. Pretty much in line with the tradition in practice in Turkey for decades, as I have shared earlier. I sincerely welcome Honorable Mayor Dean Trentalis to support this tradition and for having the courage to be challenged by the children, which may be tough sometimes.
I could always use the advice.
Yet another traditional practice is the annual festival we organize in Turkey on this occasion, whereby children from all around the world would travel to Turkey for a week, perform their folkloric dances in a festival to take place on the 23rd of April, and stay with a host family while making friends with the children of the same household. The messages given during this festival, believe it or not, are also almost about peace and friendship among children to spill over into peace and friendship among nations. With this in mind, I started to partner with Turkish Airlines in the past years to provide 2 return air tickets to Turkey to the winner student of the If I Were the Mayor contest. And the idea was to make sure that we all know each other better, as I, for one, believe a lot of the animosity in our world arises from not knowing each other. In that line, I sincerely appreciate the opportunity given to us by the city to enable residents of Fort Lauderdale to know and engage with different communities, which are all valuable components of the society. This diversity does not make us weak or vulnerable. It only makes us rich and resilient, and it will bring us peace. This is exactly the founding philosophy of the Florida Turkish American Association in their social and cultural events, including gatherings. In a short while, Honorable Mayor Dean Trentalis will announce the winner of this year's contest. We shall have the full list of winners announced towards the end of the week. Due to COVID measures, we made a small change, Honorable Mayor, to this year's prize, and we will not be giving a return ticket to Turkey, as though traveling might be sensitive these days. So that's then we said, if you're not able to bring the winning contestant to Turkey, then we will bring Turkey to the winning contestant. And our winning prize this year is a virtual reality Google. We are only hopeful that the sites that will emerge in front of your eyes will encourage you to explore more and get to know more about one another. And for that, a pair of Googles is not even a must. All you need is to open your hearts for others to get in. On that note, Honorable Mayor, allow me to end here and thank once again for everyone who made this event possible. Turkish American community in Fort Lauderdale appreciates the city's work while standing ready to contribute to it as always. Thank you, Anna.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Having traveled to Turkey many times myself, it's definitely a missed opportunity for this winter, because it would be an enriching experience for that person. next year. Yeah. So, so the winner of the If I Were a Mayor essay contest is Natalia Sanborn from Bayview Elementary. Is Natalia here? Not here. Okay. So we'll be presenting her. You know, she'll be notified of this if she's not already watching. Okay. All right. Very good. Yes. Yes. We'll do that. Sure. I'll sneak in. Okay. Very good.
Google glasses on. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Yes, we're all there.
Thank you. Do I get a copy of that essay?
Yes, we will. Yeah.
Have a good night. So I guess one presentation is not going to be done tonight, so we'll move on to presentation number 3. And that I will invite Commissioner Sorensen, who will present a proclamation declaring April 2021 as Walk Like Mad and Mad Dash Month in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I am honored to celebrate this, and Heather Geronimus is in person at City Hall in the chamber. And Heather, you can.
You're there.
Sorry, Mayor.
Mask on. Come on up.
Come on up, Heather. While Heather's coming up, Mayor, I'm just going to brag on her a little bit. She's just an amazing leader in our community. Heather founded the Fort Lauderdale MAD chapter. Heather's been affected personally, deeply by drunk driving. She lost her father, Dr. Robert Geronimus, to a drunk driver January 24th, 2009, Mayor. And so it's from this place of loss and action. You aren't going to meet many more leaders that take action the way Heather does and has built MAD Fort Lauderdale to amazing, amazing heights. And there is a 5K walk and run this weekend on Sunday, and I'm going to be running in it, Mayor. So you've still got time to register and run with me. And I'm going to go ahead and read this recognition for MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Broward. Sorry, I said Fort Lauderdale earlier, but it's Broward. And the 2021 Walk Like Mad and Mad Dash. So whereas Walk Like Mad is a signature fundraising event of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the nation's premier organization working to end drunk driving, help fight impaired driving, support victims of these violent crimes, and to prevent underage drinking. And whereas in 2018, our own Fort Lauderdale Police Department demonstrated the city's commitment to eliminate impaired driving by creating a dedicated DUI unit. In their first year, they made approximately 500 arrests and have made in excess of 1,000 arrests since the unit's inception. And whereas MAD Broward, established in 1980, provides victim support services, community education, youth programs that work to eliminate underage drinking throughout the South Florida community. And whereas this Sunday, April 25th, 2021, MAD Broward will host the UKG and Sala Foundation presents UBS Walk Like Mad and Mad Dash Fort Lauderdale 5K, brought to you by the Sheriff's Foundation of Broward County and Memorial Healthcare at Huizenga Plaza in the city of Fort Lauderdale. And whereas participants can also choose to participate in the event virtually from April 25th to May 9th, 2021. And you can still register. Go online and register now. Funds raised will be used to continue MAD Broward's community education, victim support services, and youth programs. Whereas the mayor and city commissioners remind the citizens of Fort Lauderdale that driving while impaired in any way is 100% preventable when everyone chooses to drive sober or designate a driver or call a ride-sharing service. Now, therefore, we as city commissioners of the city of Fort Lauderdale hereby proclaim April 2021 as Walk Like Mad, Mad Dash Month in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and do encourage all residents to participate in this very important event, and further urge all citizens to make responsible decisions. Signed, your mayor, Dean J. Trantalis. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Sorensen and Mayor Trantalis. As Commissioner Sorensen said, we would invite everybody to it's really like Fort Lauderdale's coming out party. We're gonna be safe, we're gonna be socially distanced, we're gonna wear masks, and we're gonna be fighting for a great cause. For those of you unfamiliar with MAD, we save lives in our community every day by raising awareness, and in the unfortunate event that we do lose people, we support victims of this crime. 1 every 10 minutes. Our country still loses over 10,000 people to drunk drivers each year. And as Commissioner Sorensen shared, in 2009, my father, Dr. Robert Geronimus, a Fort Lauderdale resident and a noted nephrologist in our community, was just one of those lives. And I honor all of the people that we've lost and serve MAD at the national level in honor of him and all the 10,000 other people that were lost that year and since. The amazing thing about drunk driving is that it's not a disease that needs a cure. It is an epidemic that plagues our community, and we all have the power to end it by making smarter decisions. And that is what Walk Like Mad and Mad Dash Fort Lauderdale does. It surfaces this issue and it allows everybody to see that we all have the power to end drunk driving. And the best thing that happened, not just the $2.5 million that we've raised in 10 years and not all of the thousands of people that we've seen, but the best thing that happened was the Fort Lauderdale DUI Task Force. Those 1,000 people that have been taken off the street by the Fort Lauderdale DUI Task Force have saved all of your lives in this room and far beyond it. So I'm so proud of the accomplishments that we've made in Fort Lauderdale, and we'll be here until we can realize MAD's future of no more victims. Thank you so much.
Got 3 more.
Okay, following that, I would invite Commissioner Glassman, who will present a proclamation regarding Florida Climate Week, and it'll be accepted virtually by Nicole Salzberg and also Stephanie McLemore will be here. Is she here in the audience? Both virtually. Okay, Commissioner Glassman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Commissioners. This proclamation is from the Office of the Mayor in recognition of Florida Climate Week, April 19th through 24th, 2021. Whereas in October 2018, the United Nations released a special report which projected that limiting warming to even the dangerous 1.5 degrees Celsius target this century will require an unprecedented transformation of every sector of the global economy by 2030. And whereas Florida is considered ground zero for climate crisis, having 8 out of the 10 cities that will be most impacted in the United States, and whereas Florida is expected to be the most affected state by our changing climate in the years to come, with severe flooding, extreme heat, and stronger storms to hit the state as early as 2035, according to a recent study by nonprofit Research Institute Resources for the Future. And whereas, according to the same study, Florida's hurricanes will become more frequent and severe, such as Hurricane Michael, which was a Category 5 hurricane and the 3rd most intense East Coast storm on record, affecting small businesses as 40% never reopen their doors after a natural disaster, and close to 25% fail within the following year. And whereas Florida's sea level, which is already high by global standards, would likely rise by 8 to 12 inches above today's levels by 2040, resulting in frequent coastal flooding, negatively impacting the area's real estate, which, as per the Army Corps of Engineers, would cost $75 billion to build 9,243 miles of seawalls to protect Florida's coastlines. And whereas Florida's extreme heat caused by our changing climate would also lead to more mosquitoes that spread diseases like Zika and an increase in the mortality risk across the state by 2040 due to higher risks of cardiovascular and cerebrovascular disease, hazardous to the health of everyone in the state. And whereas hurricanes, red tide, seaweed blooms, and dangerous bacteria in the water caused by our changing climate are making Florida beaches less attractive to tourists, impacting visits such as $1.8 million due to Hurricane Irma and spending such as $130 million due to red tide, threatening the economy of the state. And whereas Volo Foundation, along with other nonprofit organizations, local state, cities, and federal partners, volunteer and professional associations, elected leaders, and news media are committed to educating Florida's citizens and visitors about our climate crisis so they may take actions to bring about positive change in order to protect themselves, their families, and their businesses. And whereas the citizens of Florida are encouraged to become more aware of our changing climate and participate in the various programs during Florida Climate Week that will present and discuss solutions, including an Earth Day festival, an arts showcase, pop-up events, a full-day conference, an action day, and more. Now, therefore, we, as city commissioners of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of April 19th through 24th, 2021 as Florida Climate Week in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and extend greetings and best wishes to all observing the week surrounding Earth Day, and signed by our mayor, the Honorable Dean J. Trentalis.
Great. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Is either Nicole Salzberg or Stephanie McLemore on the line?
Yes, Stephanie McLemore, I'm here.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Would you like? Are there any? Can you tell us a little bit about the Volo Foundation, and do you have any other comments with regard to this proclamation?
Yes, of course. So Volo Foundation is a family-funded nonprofit right here out of Jupiter, Florida, and we are focused on raising awareness and educating the public on climate change, the climate crisis, and how it's impacting our communities. And I would just like to say, on behalf of Volo Foundation, thank you, Mayor Trentalis, Commissioner Glassman, and the whole commission of the city of Fort Lauderdale for signing this proclamation, recognizing this week as Florida Climate Week. Your support is helping to bring awareness to Floridians about the climate crisis that we are facing, the impact it's having on our communities, and the solutions available to us today for creating a more sustainable future, not just this week, but all year long. Florida Climate Week is taking place this week through Friday. It features over 45 events with 100 industry leading speakers on climate change. And all of the sessions are virtual and they're free. And if anybody's interested in participating throughout the rest of the week, we welcome you to please visit floridaclimateweek.org to register and tune in for the rest of the sessions and events throughout the week. Thank you again for your support.
Absolutely. And thank you for all the work that you do in bringing attention to the climate crisis that we face. Next, again, Commissioner Glassman will be presenting a proclamation regarding Arbor Day in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Commissioner Glassman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Is Mark Williams on the line, Urban Forestry Supervisor? Can he join us? Or if he's in Commission Chambers, can he go to the podium? Or if he's just on the line?
He is here.
He is here.
He is
Excellent.
Here.
Thank you.
Up to the podium.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And this proclamation is from the Office of the Mayor in recognition of Arbor Day, April 30th, 2021. Whereas Arbor Day is symbolic of the early conservation movement and has been observed in the United States in various ways for over 140 years. And whereas trees are responsible for creating a more sustainable environment by producing oxygen, reducing stormwater, and cooling urban areas. And whereas trees provide critical habitat for local and migrating wildlife. And the city of Fort Lauderdale has been recognized as a certified community wildlife habitat by the National Wildlife Federation. And whereas enhancement of the beauty of the city's landscape by the planting of trees furnishes not only an economic value, but a human value that is beneficial to all. And whereas in its strategic plan, the city has identified, quote, cultivate our urban forest, unquote, as one of its strategic objectives. And whereas in 2020, the city continued
potential master planning, planting more trees and giving away more trees. So I'm happy to see that progressing. So thanks for having me.
You do. Mayor, thank you all for the work that you do, Mark. Mayor, don't you really miss Tu B'Shavat when you do this kind of proclamation?
I'm telling you, next year for sure. I'm going to have to plant 2 trees next year for a Tu B'Shavat. We're down a tree. Okay, so finally, and this is really exciting, we're going to ask Jessica Wilkus, who is a senior management fellow, who will recognize participants in the city of Fort Lauderdale's 8th Neighborhood Leadership Academy. And can I ask Jessica and all the members of the Leadership Academy to please step forward? For you. Wow. We're going to miss our audience as soon as this is over.
Yeah.
So if you could all line up in front of the dais and face that way, please.
Wonderful. Good
Future
evening.
leaders of Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. And current.
Mayor, do you mind if I say a few words? Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm a senior management fellow with the Office of Neighbor Support, and I am super excited to present to you our Neighbor Leadership Academy Class 8 graduating class. They are incredible individuals, and through the Neighbor Leadership Academy, they've attended and committed to a 5-week course learning all about the operations of our local government here at the city of Fort Lauderdale and gaining valuable leadership skills that they can take home with them to their neighborhoods to be effective change leaders in their own respective ways. I've got to meet each of them individually, and I am truly blessed to have these people in our community making a positive impact. This is the 8th graduating class, so they are joining a alumni group of 156 graduates in total, many of whom have gone on to their own respective neighborhoods and made a powerful impact. And I have no doubt that these individuals in front of you today will do the same. With that being said, none of this could be possible without the support of our great commission, a lot of city staff that support the program along the way, and various associations and neighborhoods as well. I do want to mention as well that the Neighbor Leadership Academy is not just about learning, it's also about applying that knowledge in an effective way. And this group has partnered with the Fort Lauderdale Independence Training and Education Center, also known as the Flight Center, to put together individual donation drives to benefit our teens that are transitioning out of the foster care system into independent living. There will be more information on that to come, but until then, I'm gonna give a warm welcome to our graduating class, NLA Class 8.
Hello, everyone. My name is Perry Sclafani. I'm the president of the Bermuda Riviera Association. We're a small neighborhood just south of Lauderdale by the sea. One of my goals as president for the association was community involvement. So I decided I needed to practice what I preach, and I joined the Neighbor Leadership Academy. I wanted to gain knowledge about the workings of the city of Fort Lauderdale. The academy exceeded my expectations. I was amazed at the way that the city departments came to our classes to educate us on how they function and how they solve problems. I was even more amazed on how the city departments work together to make Fort Lauderdale the great city we live in. We learned so much from the academy that I can't list it all. One of the takeaways from the academy was that I got to meet all these fine people on the stage here that come from a variety of different communities. It was comforting to know that there are so many people who want to make a difference in the world around us. And we realize that that starts with making a difference in each of our own little communities. As Jessica said, wrapping up our class, we came up with a fantastic volunteer project for the Flight Center, spelled FLITE. The Flight Center helps young adults establish their independence as they age out of foster care. So together, class 8 came up with a way to pay it forward to these young adults who have the potential to be our future leaders in Fort Lauderdale. I couldn't be more pleased or proud of the academy and what we've accomplished. I want to thank everyone.
Thank you, Perry.
That was nice. So this is the moment in the meeting where I reach out to the public. This is where we now address our consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are usually voted upon by the commission in one vote, unless, of course, a commissioner seeks to pull one of the items, and at which time we will discuss that item and vote on that item separately. If after calling upon each commissioner, there is an item that has not been pulled that you would like to speak about, before we take the vote, I invite you to either sign up online or come forward and speak. You'll have 3 minutes to speak on that consent agenda item. Once the consent agenda is voted upon, there will be no more public comment, and those items will have passed or not passed based on the individual item. So I would ask Vice Mayor Moritas, do you have any items you'd like to pull tonight?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Glassman?
Thank you, Mayor. CM10.
CM10. Okay.
And that's it. That's it. Thank you.
Commissioner McKenzie?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Sorensen?
Nope, thank you.
Okay. So except for CM10, which CM10, which refers to the Tortuga event. Okay. Has anyone signed up to speak with regard to any of the others? I see CM1, CM5, CM13. CM11, CM12, CM13. Okay, so, okay. All right, so let's begin with those items that people seem to want to speak of. So we'll start with CM1, which would be CM1 is in regard to the Polish Flag Day event, Fortune 500, Polarized, and Taco Craft Cinco de Mayo. So we have Charles Bergwin and Brian Lilly. Are you here to speak on behalf of that in support of those items, or is there something else you want to speak about? Charles, Brian?
*6 to unmute, please. Brian, you're unmuted.
Yep. I was just here in case there was any questions on the ours, which was CM4 or M1.
Okay. Charles Bergwin?
Charles *6 to unmute, please.
He's here for Taco Craft, so he's just here to support it. Okay. So we'll put that aside. On to CM5, Ken Krasnov. I assume that's just for questions. So put that aside. Then we have CM11, which we have Robert Lockery for questions only, and Mr. Chettle. Please step forward, 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Paul. I'm actually opposed to all 7 Suntex items tonight. I don't believe that the city manager and city attorney have all the information in front of you for you to make an informed decision. Commissioner Glassman, these are all in your district. 11, 12, and 13, resolution 3, 4, and 5. You remember that the pre-development agreement deadline in the lease was 12/31 of 2019. And then when we didn't get to those items in time and the 2 parties agreed to extend that deadline to April 1st of 2020, that's a year and 19 days ago. And since then, you will remember on August 18th of last year, there was a city conference meeting where there was a discussion about all these items, the 2.5 million, the parking, the lane closures, that stuff, and the boat show lease or the boat show agreement. And we were told at that meeting, Mr. Trantellis, the mayor, Mr. Lockery, and Mr. Boileau were all on the phone and confirmed that we had a boat show agreement. Mayor Trantellis signed that boat show agreement and signed the original lease, which had Article 5.3 in it. And that's the point of contention. On August 17th, there was a 3-party boat show agreement. And that agreement was only for 5 years. The mayor signed a lease saying that the boat show agreement was going to be for 25 years. So the boat show agreement that was signed by the 3 parties was only for 5 years, and it was only for 3,400 linear feet. It wasn't for the 7,000 linear feet, which is the marina. So I'm not really quite sure where to go from here, but the bottom line is very simple. What the public knows is that we have an existing lease. We have amendments 1, 2, and 3 of that existing lease. Amendment 3 dealt with Section 5.3. And since then, we haven't heard anything more about Section 5.3 with regard to the boat show lease. And yet we have a boat show lease that only has 5 years that I don't believe conforms to the lease. So I don't know what we're supposed to do. I don't know whether this has been disclosed and we've missed it. I don't know if there's a miscommunication. I don't know if Mr. Lockery can please tell us what Mr. Redmond signed. I don't know if the city attorney can fill us in on this, but we don't seem to be in a position where we should be moving forward with these 7 items tonight until we resolve whether or not we have an actual boat show lease.
Okay, so That relates to an issue that CM11 is regarding the pump station.
No, so all three are they're all happened at the same time. So the pre-development
They're all
agreement.
happening at the same
Okay,
time.
got it.
Your concern is
Don't approve 2.5 million for a pump station until you secure the boat show lease or boat show agreement.
okay. And okay.
Thank you.
So okay,
Yes.
Well, stay there.
Yes, thank you.
So to clarify things, do we know off the top of our head whether you want to respond, Alan?
Yeah, the agreement that we saw that was provided to us is actually for 20 years. The 5.3 says 25 years if the boat show wants it to be that long. There's a qualifier and it's between them. We're not a party. So to the extent that it's 20 years versus 25, that's up to them as to whether they want to go to
the option of the boat show.
Correct.
So I disagree. The exact quote is the lease is for a term of 5 years. There is an option for 3 additional 5-year periods, but the lease is for a term of 5 years. There's an option. You don't have a guarantee that you're going to get that option.
Well, the option is the option of the tenant,
right?
Which would be the boat show. They have the right to back out after every 5 years.
So we're going to agree to move forward with everything based on a 5-year term that has the option to be extended, but there's no guarantee that it will be extended.
The lease doesn't require a guarantee. The lease requires, it was really for the protection of the boat show, and it's their option. We can't compel the boat show we can't compel the boat show to stay there longer than we want to.
Totally understand.
Right.
So 3
that's why they have the
independent
option.
Parties, right? And we're not a party. We're not part of this thing.
Correct.
It's not the option, but it's not the option of Suntex. It's the option of Informa. It's not a mutual option.
No, I understand.
Yeah, you know that.
So okay, it just the term being only for 5 years is the concerning part, and I understand what you're saying about the boat show. But what happens if the boat show wants to extend it? And I don't know. I mean, there's no guarantee, is what I'm saying.
Again, the qualifier is that, and I understand your point, but that qualifier at the end of that sentence,
yeah.
If the boat show wants to have it for that long, if they only want it for 10 years, we really didn't have a say in that because of that qualifier. And that's why when we were presented with it at 20 years, it wasn't a default type situation with regards to 5.3 because of that qualifier.
Okay. So then you can cancel my other 6 oppositions. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. CM10, Commissioner Glassman.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that, Mayor. And thank you, Alan, for that previous explanation on CM11 and then the other issues that were brought up, because that was my understanding as well in terms of it's the boat show's prerogative. But I did want to thank Mr. Chettle for reminding me that those are in District 2, because I'm glad he just reminded me of that. Otherwise, I would have forgotten. Thank you. CM10, last night at my pre-agenda meeting, some issues came up. So hopefully, Chris, you can help with that. Again, this is about the Tortuga Music Festival. There's a letter from Live Nation dated August 6th in the backup. It's Exhibit 1, and it says, under event dates, that the concert music will end by 11:30 p.m. each day. And I just want to make sure that everyone understands that that's not correct, because if you look into the agreement, I believe the music has to end by 10 p.m. So I just, there was a little concern about that because of that, conflicting pieces of information in the backup. Chris, you can confirm that the music will be over at 10, not like this letter says, 11:30?
So I would rather the promoter answer that question directly. We're having a hard time getting him on. He can hear the meeting, but he can't participate. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get Mr. Stacy to respond.
Hello.
Stacy?
Not that Stacy.
Not that Stacy. Wrong
Chris Stacy. Tortuga's not in the cemetery, so we should be good. So IT, we're looking for a second person to join the meeting that would come up under my name. I had to send Chris my link to log in, so let's watch for that, please. Phil, do you have information you can weigh in?
I might be able to share some information. I believe maybe the confusion is the music will stop at 10. The breakdown goes to 11:30. So they will be working on the beach until 11:30. I understand it, and it always been is there's no music after 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because as I said, the letter from Live Nation says 11:30. So I just want to make sure that they also know that it's 10 p.m. Next, obviously, Chris, this is a very active festival for several days. Several people last night at my meeting had requested additional personnel at some of the critical junctions and locations just to help direct traffic. I think we've talked about that in the past, but I was wondering if there could be any possible thought about doing that. I know we've talked about it. It's been an issue, but just to help ease traffic out of the garage and other focal points in and around the festival, are we able to do something like that to actually have people directing traffic and making it move along?
So we always have it reviewed by both our police and fire department. They'll make decisions based upon the best recommendation they can do for moving traffic. Sometimes that is with physical people, and other times that's with other traffic devices. But I'll have to rely upon our experts in the police department to make a good recommendation to be as efficient as possible. I'm not hearing you,
Commissioner. You're on mute. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the host just keeps muting me, and it's hard for me to keep paying attention because they keep muting me, but that's okay.
A lot of feedback.
Thank you.
I just want you to know, Commissioner, it's not me trying to mute you. I just want you to understand that. Okay.
I would never think that, Mayor. Ever.
Me.
No, you would be the last person I would think would do that.
Exactly.
Okay. So next item. There's been some concern because, with the festival moving a little bit later due to the pandemic, there'll be an overlap in the South Beach parking lot with the boat show. So folks are wondering how much of the South Beach parking lot will be available, to the residents and visitors with this overlap, and just, is there any kind of mitigation that we can do about that, Chris?
I guess I'd look back maybe to until we can get Chris Stacy on the call to answer these questions directly. I'll look to maybe see if Phil has any update that would answer that question. I don't have an update. I don't know the answer.
So I did get confirmation, Commissioner, on the first note that 10 o'clock is the last, would be the end of the music at 10. I did get that note from the promoter. And then as far as your comment goes, yes, this year is going to be a little tight in the Fort Lauderdale Beach parking lot with the movement of quite a few of the events to the fall and early winter. It's going to be a little challenging down there and trying to work events in to try to get those in this year. So to answer your questions, I don't know exactly the days and the hours that it's going to be open, but I can tell you that it's going to be very minimal during that time frame, because we do have a lot of events that move to November from the spring, in November, December timeframe. So it's going to be kind of busy down there.
Yeah, but Phil, I think the concern is if Tortuga starts on November 12th and the boat show, let's say, ends on November 1st, does that give them enough time to set up?
Yeah, so what we did, Mayor, we made sure that the boat show and Tortuga talk to each other, and we have agreement from both of them that they can work together to make this happen. So before we brought the Tortuga event forward, we made sure that they had gotten with the boat show, and the boat show was good with the plan, and they are.
Does that answer your questions, Commissioner Glassman?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. The host has muted me once again. Here I go. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I just want to make sure that we're able to have everyone talking and coordinating. Maybe even we can get some information out to the Central Beach Alliance about the issue as it happens, because there is just a concern among the residents that it's going to be really tough without having that lot for all those weeks. And they just wanted to know what kind of access people would be able to have. But yes, I understand. As long as everyone's talking and figuring it out, and whatever can be done to mitigate that crunch would be greatly appreciated. And lastly, and this happens every year, I always get these questions. People seem to think that for some reason Tortuga takes so much more time setting up and breaking down than other big events in other cities, or even in terms of setup and breakdown of other huge projects, whether it's a concert or not. have we looked at that? Have we really examined the amount of time to set up and break down? And are we within the realm of what we would think would be, typical in terms of other events and in other places, Chris?
Yeah, so now we do have the benefit of Chris Stacy being on. So I think he's heard all the questions. I'm going to turn it over to him and let him talk about the setup and breakdown time. And then if he chooses to respond to any of the other time questions or parking lot questions, he's now joined us. Chris, are you there?
I'm here, guys. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I was having some connectivity issues. I've been following along as much as possible. I do think I missed about the last 2 minutes while I was on the phone with tech support trying to join. As far as the music stopping, I can confirm that is 10 p.m. The other question that I heard specifically was how much time it takes for setup and breakdown. I will say this: it is in our best in our best interest and benefit to set up and break down as quickly as we humanly and safely can. So we always try to minimize the number of days that we, take up any parking places or have to be out there on the beach. We literally examine it every single year, and we've been able to shave days off from previous years. But I think where we are right now is about as low as we can get it without making any substantial, quality changes to the event. And as far as being in line with other events, it's definitely in line. My partners at Live Nation produce, dozens of other music festivals around the country. And the load in, load out. We do have some challenges that they don't because it's on the beach that may take an extra day or two, but we're definitely in line with other music festivals.
Okay, we just want to make sure that there's enough of a cushion of time between you setting up and the boat show breaking down. That's all.
Sure, totally valid question. We've been in touch with the folks at Informa, and we've been communicating pretty regularly, actually, about how we can share resources with each other this year. We understand that because the two events this year, and it's unique that it's this year due to COVID, are so close to each other. So we're in communication with them about how we can share resources to minimize the impact of their load out and our load in.
Okay.
So we're definitely working together.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. Any further questions, Commissioner Glassman?
No, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. Here's to a great show. Just wanted to make sure that, you're aware of the, sensitivities of a lot of the folks that, live in and around the area, and whatever you can do to assist is greatly appreciated. So again, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. So why don't we just vote on all the consent agenda items now all at once? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and all the consent agenda items are now approved. Thank you very much, everybody. M1, motion approving the fiscal year 2021 Beach Business Improvement District Grant Participation Agreement with the Lauderdale Air Show, LLC, $100,000. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is that in District 2, Commissioner?
That's very funny, Mayor. Actually, I believe it is, but it can be seen by District 4 and District 1 and District 3 all at the same time.
You're so generous with the things you offer to the city.
We try our best. Thank you.
There's been a motion and a second? Okay, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, so M1 is approved. M2, motion authorized. When is that again, by the way? It's the first weekend of May, right?
May 8 and 9.
May 8th and 9th, great. M2, this is a motion authorizing a license agreement with Solas SMI LLC for property located at 201 South Birch Road and 230 East Las Solas Circle for $2,400 for 24 months. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve, but I do have some questions, Mayor.
Okay, there's Mr. Lockery's here to answer any questions, so shoot away.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Lockery. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good.
Excellent. Again, these questions came up at my district pre-agenda meeting last evening. There was some concern, number one, about where will the boat show load the portable docks from once this is happening there? Will this take up too much of that space, or do you know if that's going to change the location of that?
I don't believe it changes the location. I know Dave and Eric are both on. My understanding is they would still be loading from the south side of the bridge.
Okay, so that won't change. What about the boat show usually closes off Las Olas Circle, and there are detours and road closings. Will anything else change because of this?
Well, when you say that, Commissioner, I mean, obviously you mean Las Olas Circle south of the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. No, it will not change. So you will still be, when I say it won't change, you will circulate in. Obviously, Las Olas Circle, the way it ramps around and back up to Birch will not be there once the marina is built. But you'll come around Las Olas Circle and come up to the north of the garage.
Okay, good. I think, and this is a general comment for all of the Suntex Las Olas Marina agenda items. It's going to be so important going forward that we have incredible communication with the neighborhood, and for that matter, the whole city, because everyone will be using the area in terms of the roads. I think that we did a great job with Garth Solutions when the garage was getting built. And I'm hoping that there is a plan in place whereby we'll be able to communicate not just with the Central Beach Alliance, but even any of the buildings that might not even be members, but just in general, anything we can do from my office to get out the word when we send out our district emails will be greatly appreciated. Just so, you know, a lot of these other agenda items that we've approved, I've already dealt with, you know, maps and closures in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of those closures and detours. There's going to be a lot going on. Everyone's real excited about it, but I just want to make sure that in real time, we're really communicating with everybody so that there are no surprises and people are going to be able to figure out how to get from point A to B and also how to get home or leave their home. So that would be so greatly appreciated.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Very strong points. We'll make sure we do that. I know Eric's got some meetings set up with some of the buildings nearby and the Central Beach Alliance, but to your point, you know, it will be a day by day in a lot of cases. And so we welcome that opportunity to use your office as well as the city's offices to get that word out.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm good, Mayor. I think I've already moved the item, actually.
Has it been moved and seconded, Mr. Clerk? We need a second.
Second.
It's been seconded by Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and the motion is approved. R1, appointment of board and committee members. Would you like to read the names?
For tonight's resolution, Board of Adjustment, Shelley Eichner, consensus nomination from Mayor Trentalis. Michael Lambrix, consensus nomination, Commissioner Sorensen. Blaze McGinley, consensus nomination, Commissioner Glassman. Cemetery System Board of Trustees, nomination Chelsea Krebs, Mayor Trentalis. Charter Revision Board, James Brady, nominated by Commissioner Sorensen. Citizen Police Review Board, Sergeant Bernard Beck Osteen, and he is officer appointed by Chief of Police. Officer Sabrina Byer, officer appointed by Chief of Police. And Bernadette Norris Weeks, nominated by Mayor Trentalis. Economic Development Advisory Board, Catherine Koenig, nominated by Commissioner Sorensen. Education Advisory Board, Tomislav Lusick, nominated by Mayor Trentalis. And Marine Advisory Board, Norbert McLaughlin, nominated by Commissioner McKenzie. And that rounds it out.
Okay, someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduce.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, appointing or nominating, if applicable, board and committee members as set forth in the exhibit attached here to and made a part hereof. Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and the resolution is approved. Congratulations to all those people who have been nominated, and thank you for the work that you are doing on behalf of the city. R2, this is a resolution accepting a supplement to the noise management plan associated with the extension of time granted by Resolution 21-52 for a special permit to extend construction hours for the Broward County Convention Center, subject to requirements of Section 17-10. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, accepting a supplement to the noise management plan for the construction activity at the Broward County Convention Center and extending the authorization provided in resolution number 21-52 and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and the resolution is approved. Did they say how much more time they're going to need to finish the project?
Yeah, so this actually just deals with a couple of very lengthy concrete pours that we didn't address the last time that they were here. So they've asked to just amend the approval that they had to account for these extended concrete pours that just have to happen to be able to make a project of that size come to completion. I can tell you specifically what that impact is, although I don't know that I could do it on the fly without calculating it. Let me see if anybody from DSD could answer that, Al, or is that a... We'll see if we can answer that for you here real quick.
So to support what Chris is saying, the concrete pours are expected to be continuous for a 72-hour period, most of them lasting between 10 to 12 hours. With breaks occurring, the construction schedule, they're trying to make up days as they go along, 30 days at a time. The projected completion date for the area impacted by the boat show is October 15th of this year. So any and everything that they're asking for from us is in support of trying to make that date in terms of accommodating the boat show.
Okay, so you want to repeat that so everyone hears that? What's the completion date?
The completion date that they're targeting for the work to meet the boat show's obligation is October 15th of 2021.
Okay. My birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Moving forward, we're on to R3. Thank you, Mr. Battle. Resolution approving the Fourth Amendment to the ground lease amendment with solas SMI LLC for city-owned property located at 240 East Las Olas Circle. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Mayor, I would just ask if it's possible. We had some discussions with regards to the approval being contingent on a sufficient survey and legal description, meets and bound description of the demise premises before we execute the Fourth Amendment.
Okay. Commissioner Sorensen, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Please call the roll.
So, Mr. Wallow, for the record, is this one as amended?
As amended.
Okay.
Subject to getting a survey.
And legal description.
A resolution in the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, authorizing execution of a Fourth Amendment to ground lease agreement as amended between the City of Fort Lauderdale and Las Olas SMI LLC, a Delaware limited liability company for the property located at 201 South Birch Road and 240 East Los Olas Circle, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, repealing any and all resolutions in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Commissioner McKenzie, you're on mute. You're on mute. Okay. There you
I've
go.
been mute. They got me muted.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and the resolution is approved. On to R4, resolution waiving the competitive solicitation and selection processes contained in the City of Fort Lauderdale procurement ordinance for procuring the Los Olas Marina associated improvements, including relocation and replacement of the D31 pump station, modification of roadway, including dedicated turn lane. I'll be so happy when that pump station is done. I've heard so much about it. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced, Mayor. It's in District 2.
Okay, thanks for reminding me.
No problem.
Okay, please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, waiving the competitive solicitation and selection processes contained in the City of Fort Lauderdale procurement ordinance for procuring the Los Olas Marina associated improvements of relocation and replacement of D-31 pump station and modification of roadway to create a dedicated turn lane and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
District 4 happily supports District 2. Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, yes. Building bridges. Love to see that.
Working
Love it.
together, Mayor. Working together.
That's right. Las Olas Bridge.
R5, resolution amended and restated release of deed restriction reverter agreement with the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund of the State of Florida in association with the development of the Los Olas Marina. Someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
Please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, approving the amended and restated release of deed restriction and reverter agreement with the Board of Trustees of the Internal Improvement Trust Fund of the State of Florida in connection with development of the Los Olas Marina, repealing any and all resolutions in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas,
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman,
Mayor, before I vote, I just wanted to say one thing, because this is the last item. I think there were 3, 4, 5, 7 items tonight about the Los Olas Marina Suntex project. And before I vote, I just wanted to say that obviously it's very easy for the public to look quickly and just see 7 agenda items, but these 7 agenda items represent so much work. So I want to really thank our city staff, our city attorney, our city manager, Ben Rogers from Transportation and Mobility, who really carried a lot of the water on this, the entire Suntex team. Eric has been so helpful. Eric Metz has been so helpful with the community outreach and talking to everyone. Suntex itself, so many people have been involved in this from both sides. And this has been, when did we approve this? Going back to 2019, but so many agencies involved, so many state agencies, local, county, you name it. There are so many moving parts that have been involved in here, and why it might just look so quick and easy that we have 7 agenda items, it just represents an incredible number of hours of work from everyone. And I really want to say thank you to everyone, because this is really a monumental accomplishment to finally get to this point on this project that's been talked about now for, well, actually the last city commission. And before that, even when people were looking at the Los Olas Marina in terms of, development opportunities and development possibilities. So this is a great moment. I'm excited about this project. And again, I'm very grateful and thankful to everyone for all of the hours of work. It really took everyone to come together to accomplish this. So thank you, and I'm happy to vote yes.
Okay.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen,
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, and I want to echo those sentiments too. This is a long time coming. It was a project that was contemplated by the previous commission. And I knew it was multi-layered and very complicated, and very happy that it's finally coming together, and looking forward to seeing an exciting new extension of the marina and 2 new restaurants and all of that. So I agree with you, Commissioner. R6, resolution approving the submission of applications for Broward County surtax new municipal capital project funds. Someone like to introduce the resolution? Introduced by Commissioner Sorensen. Any questions? If none, please call the roll.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, supporting and endorsing the plan of 20 Cycle 2 Transportation Surtax Mobility Advancement Program capital projects in the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as identified in Exhibit 1, authorizing submission of funding applications to the Broward County Transportation Surtax Mobility Advancement Program in order to implement the projects, and providing for severability, rescission of conflicting resolution provisions, and an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. And the resolution is approved. Moving on to public hearings. Public hearing 1. It's a public hearing, quasi-judicial ordinance approving a rezoning of Community Facility House of Worship, CFH, to exclusive parking lot XP district, the allocation of 0.274 acres of commercial flex, and site plan approval of a surface level parking lot at the First Presbyterian Church of Fort Lauderdale. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Vice Mayor, do you have any disclosures?
I do. 419, I met with Stephen Tilbrook.
Commissioner Glassman?
That's the same for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner McKenzie?
I met with Stephen Tilbrook.
And Commissioner Sorensen?
Same.
Okay, I met with the pastor as well as with Mr. Stephen Tilbrook and a site visit. So we have no one has signed. What are you doing here? You're messing me up here. All right, we have one person who signed up to speak. That's Steve Tilbrook, but I guess it's for questions only. So would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduce.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance amending section 47-1.6 B of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida Unified Land Development Regulations through the revision of the official zoning map of City of Fort Lauderdale and Schedule A revised compilation attached thereto and by reference made a part thereof, so as to rezone from CFH, Community Facility House of Worship District, to XP, Exclusive Use Parking Lot District, through the allocation of commercial flexibility, all of Lot 13 and the west 6.37 feet of Lot 14, Block 34, Coley Hammock, according to the plat thereof, recorded in Plat Book 1, page 17 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, and approving an associated site plan located west of Southeast 15th Avenue, north of Southeast 4th Street, east of Tarpon Drive, and south of East Los Olas Boulevard, all said lands being in the City of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Vice Mayor Moritas?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and the ordinance is approved, and the church can now extend its parking lot. Now we have PH2. This is a second reading, a de novo hearing, quasi-judicial consideration of an ordinance for the vacation of a right-of-way application, a portion of Northeast 8th Street, Holman Automotive, Inc. Anyone wishing to speak must be sworn in, and the commission will announce any site visits, communications, or expert opinions received and make them a part of the record. Vice Mayor Moritas, do you have any additional disclosures here?
No, nothing in addition.
Commissioner Glassman?
I did. In addition to the last time with the February 11th, I did meet with Dina Gray on the, let's see, that was yesterday, the 19th. Thank you.
Commissioner McKenzie
Same as Commissioner Glassman.
and Commissioner Sorensen,
Nothing additional, Mayor.
and nothing additional from myself. Okay, we have a number of people who've signed up to speak. So we might begin with those. I'll call three at a time. Some are going to be in person and some are going to, one is in person, the rest will be virtually. So Antonio Curatolo, followed by John Phillips, followed by Terry McKay. So is Antonio on the line? Oh, you're here in person. What is your name, sir? And did you want to speak? Yeah, I have you down. Yeah. Antonio, welcome.
Mayor, commissioners, thank you for taking the time to listen to our grievances. I have been in this particular area since 1977. At the time that this encroachment was given to Holman, the zoning was B2. Well, since then, the zoning has been changed to the Northwest Rec, which includes a mixed rice, residential, and a multitude of uses. And I think that, in my opinion, that closing any kind of street or any kind of alleyway is a detriment to the change of the zoning that the city gave us after all these years of struggling in that area, seeing it go up and down. And I've been, like I said, I've been on that street since 77.
Do you have a business there?
I own 5 pieces of property I bought in the streets. Okay, over the years I built them, and they're going to be directly impacted in the future because of these. Now, the point has been made that since the street has been closed for such a long time, it does not subject to a public use, which I disagree, because the public use is what's coming. In other words, developments are going to come. Mobility becomes a very important factor in how the area develops. If you take away mobility, you're going to take away some of the development in the area which we need. That particular triangle is very limited, and there has been some alleyways already taken by private companies, and some streets are being challenged. And I think that your decision tonight is a very important decision to the outcome of this particular area. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your concern.
You're welcome. John Phillips, followed by Terry McKay, followed by Charles Carreno. Is John Phillips here?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I represent Mr. Corradolo, Tony, the previous speaker, but my iPhone smashed today, so he and I have been unable to communicate. So we had a backup plan, but without being repetitive, I submitted a number of documents to tonight's webinar. I don't know if you or the other commissioners have had the benefit of looking at it, but if I can just summarize why Mr. Curatolo objects. Incidentally, this was set for April 6th, a commission hearing, and there had been a prior meeting with the city commission, and my client nor I never heard of anything about it. We have no idea. We participated back in a November Planning and Zoning Board hearing, which rejected the request to eliminate the to eliminate the vacation of the street. So we're curious as to why this has come up in the way it did without giving notice to all of us. But again, I would bring to the board's attention that the Planning and Zoning Board turned this down, saying, amongst other things, why give this away for free? The other thing I might mention, the original 1987 encroachment agreement, which was between Fort Lauderdale and Lincoln Mercury, I presume Holman's predecessor, was purportedly to be used as vehicle storage. My client's observation, it has not been used for that. Secondly, when this street vacation was originally brought to my client and other members in that area, it was supposedly as part of a big development. And this was the scene, the quid quo pro, well, if this is vacated, we'll be able to build this project. Well, there is no project. And as the Planning and Zoning Board said, why give it away now if it's not part of a big project? So I think the whole underpinning as to why they needed this in the first place has gone away. So query, why do they come to my client and the other members of the business community say, here's our proposed project, and this is why we need the vacation of Northeast 8th Street. Now there's no project. So why would this commission grant this right now? It doesn't make sense. Thirdly, this particular street closure is a small part of the entire the only one in the entire northwest rack area, bounded by Andrews on the west, Sunrise on the east, and Progreso Drive. As Mr. Corradolo mentioned, given the Northwest Rack plans for multifamily mixed-use development, closing a street obviously affects the traffic flow to the area. I also submitted a document from my client's architect, which outlined a schematic that shows that this vacation of the street would have a deleterious effect on the development on my client's property because it would cut off the alleyway.
Mr. Phillips, who is your client?
Mr. Curatolo, who just spoke.
Oh, okay. So you're representing him?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's why I want to say, because of our communication problems, I had mentioned to Mr. Curatolo to be there. So, okay. But anyway, I only have a few more points.
No, your time is up. Your time is up.
Well, members, City Commission, I appreciate the time.
John, your time is up. Thank you. Mr. Dennis, you want to come up here to the podium and if I could just ask you, you want to say, give us a little like 2 or 3 minute narrative as to what the intentions are of wanting to vacate this.
I do.
Okay. Want to give us a little summary as to what the point of this vacation is?
Thank you. Dennis Mealy, 200 East Broward Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, on behalf of the applicant. I've got a couple of quick pictures that I want to show that I think will help illustrate the point. If I can do that. I think the gentleman's going to come over here and turn it on for me. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to zero in on a couple of quick pictures. So this is the location we're talking about. You see the portion of the road right away to be vacated is outlined in red, and that's 8th Street. And then you see the intersections of 8th Street and Progreso Drive and 2nd Avenue and Progreso Drive. And you notice from this graphic that the center line of these two streets is separated by 69 feet. Now, the standard distance separation that we see in many places is 330 feet. But just to give you an example, the distance separation between the streets in this area, 8th Street, 9th Street, 7th Street, is about 500 feet. The distance separation between the avenues in this area, 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, is about 250 feet. Now, the reason I point that out is also most intersections are at 90-degree angles. The Institute of Transportation Engineers says that if your angle is less than 70 degrees, it's not safe. Now you notice at these two locations, the angle at the corner of Progreso and 8th is only 47 degrees, and the angle at the intersection of 2nd and Progreso is only 42 degrees. Remember that 70 degrees or greater is what's considered safe. There's been some discussion tonight about whether this road should be reopened. At the Planning and Zoning Board meeting, Vice Chair Fertig asked Mr. Benjamin Restrepo from your Transportation and Mobility Department about how this area could be done so that we mitigate crashes. And Mr. Restrepo responded that the intersection of 8th Street and Progreso Drive presents a dangerous angle, particularly for drivers making left turns. If the area was closed,
then you wouldn't be able to make those left turns. Now, of course, we know it's been closed since 1987, and this is the area that is fenced in that kind of orange outline that you see here. And of course, what do you see parked in this area are vehicles from the car dealership, exactly the purpose that the 1987 encroachment agreement called for. There are 6 criteria for the vacation of a roadway. As we know from the meeting we had in March, having a site plan is not one of the criteria. So initially, DRC had a concern about this request. And then they asked us to make sure that we preserved a utility easement and a emergency vehicle access easement and an easement for pedestrians, which we have done. So even if the street is vacated, it will still be open for pedestrians, emergency vehicles, and utilities. We meet each and every one of these criteria. Having a site plan is not one of them. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you're going to continue to use it for storage of vehicles, correct?
Well, but if the roadway is vacated and the easements are preserved, we will then be able to open this area for pedestrian traffic, for emergency vehicles, but not for regular vehicles. So we may have to remove the fence and put up bollards or something. We'll have to work that out with your city engineers to make sure it's done properly.
Okay, so it has essentially been fenced off since 1987?
That's correct.
So it's been a de facto vacation is basically what we're...
Basically, and that's why I think that when you look at the criteria, your professional folks here were able to find that this doesn't affect traffic patterns because it's been closed like that for years. You don't have to back up. You don't have to make a U-turn. You don't have to make a T-turn. You don't have to do any of those things. You just either keep going straight or you turn on the road you can. But it's been like this since 1987.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I just have a question about
Yes, go
when
ahead.
was it rezoned? Because you mentioned 1987, it was fenced off, and somebody else mentioned it was rezoned to Northwest Rack. What year was that?
I don't know the year of that rezoning, but I don't know that the rezoning makes a difference in terms of what we're talking about. In fact,
I'm just curious if it was after you fenced it off. Obviously, it sounds like after you fenced it off, it was changed to rezoning. Because my understanding, and I'm thinking in my mind, is the rezoning is to allow for some different types of uses that did not exist at the time when you did fence it off. And also, when I was looking at your picture of this Progreso in 8th Street, I think it could be safe if you remove some of those trees at those intersections where it's pointy, if we did need to open it up as a roadway. So I hear what you're saying now, that it currently may not be safe, but if you shaved off those pointy edges, and I think we could make it a little safer if we needed to use it.
well, let me also add, if I could, that looking at this picture we're looking at right now, under the zoning that is in effect today, the lot that says unnumbered lot block 257 is not developable because it's a triangle. And when you factor in all of the setbacks and everything that are required, you can't build on that piece. So I think the rezoning came about as part of the ULDRs, which was in the mid 90s. And then after that, the rezoning took place, but it doesn't affect the safety of these angles or the close proximity of the two roads. No matter how you zone it, traffic safety is traffic safety. And I have my traffic engineer here tonight who's very much an expert in this if you want to hear from him, but I know you've got a long meeting. I'm trying to keep it brief.
So let me ask you this. I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yes, my point is, I think we could make the turn safe if we just move some of the landscaping on
Well,
the
let
edge.
me ask you, so why do we need to vacate it if it's been this way all these years? What's the driving force here?
Well, what we're trying to do is make the property to be able to be developed for the future, and also recognizing that if the road is not safe to open, I mean, it's been closed for all these years, I think for a pretty good reason, this will allow us to move forward and do a development and use this area, keep it open for the utilities, the emergency vehicles, and the pedestrians, but you can actually build above it if you have the high enough clearance, or you can, you now treat it as an easement as opposed to right of way for measuring setbacks and that sort of thing.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any questions of Dennis at this point? I did not. I'm talking about the commission. Thank you.
Dennis,
Thank you.
hey,
Thank you.
Mayor, this is
Yes.
Ben. And sorry, Dennis, I might have missed this, but I think when I was, if my memory serves me right, when I was talking to our transportation team, they were saying, again, you might have already said this, but they were telling me that we would not even be able to open Northeast 8th Street, even if we wanted to, due to safety concerns.
That was the testimony given by Mr. Benjamin Restrepo of your Transportation and Mobility Department at the P&Z meeting. Because of these tight angles and the close proximity of the streets, the answer was that if you want it to be safe, don't open it.
Right. That's what I've been told by the transportation as well. There's no way to viably use this as a thoroughfare at this point. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, Terry McKay, followed by Charles Carreno, followed by Mr. Gonzalez. Is Terry on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I own a property that is on that map. It's 809 Progreso Drive, just a little bit as you look at that map to the upper right in the picture. And we've occupied that building since 1960. I've been there for 25 years. And the first thing I would say is I'm just astounded with the concern of safety. I can't remember an auto accident anywhere along Progreso Drive in my entire tenure there. And it's very lightly traveled. And you might also notice that every single street and avenue intersects Progreso Drive at a funny angle because Progreso Drive is on a 45-degree angle. And that includes Andrews and 3rd Avenue, which both have to cross Progreso Drive, and Flagler Drive on the other side of it. So anyway, all this concern about safety, it seems a little disingenuous because there is, to my knowledge, never been a traffic accident there, or certainly none of any importance. So anyway, to use that as the excuse to close off the street seems rather disingenuous. But my major concern and objection to this is development is coming, or redevelopment is coming to the Progreso area. We don't know when. I would think ultimately my property would be developed as retail or residential of some fashion. But anyway, we don't know what form that will take. Why at this juncture should we limit our ingress and egress to the area when we don't know what will eventually happen? To me, to permanently close off the street before even Holman has a development plan seems premature. So that's my objection.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Charles Carreno, followed by Mr. Gonzalez, followed by Robert Beaumonte. Is Charles on the line?
I do not see a Charles.
Do not see a Charles. Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, please. Good evening.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the here present. Thank you so much for receiving me here. About this, I have a little question. I am at the beginning, as I say, I'm not in a favor of this. I have a question for the...
A little bit more into the microphone.
Yes, I just have a question. I believe the encroachment in 87 benefited this company Holman for many years. Before, this area was a crap area. I purchased a property trying to develop, and I went to the city of Fort Lauderdale, and they told me I can do like a 12-race building, mixed apartments and also business. And I purchased this property seeing that it's very nice and it's gonna come in better for everybody. So when they say the street cannot be used, well, you just have to change the angle. Instead of coming this way, you come this way. It's no problem. The way of view have to be changed, number one. Number two, the encroachment in that date was with all people before. It is 30 years later when we have in 2021. I don't believe the city is supposed to finish this encroachment and return the street to the city. Plus, I don't believe how can be possible that a multi-billion-dollar company is asking for free a piece of land that belongs to us, all of us here, to you, to everybody, because we pay taxes. And these people has been using this encroachment, the uses of this street for 30 years without paying a dime, And that's, I don't believe, because I pay a lot of taxes. So I believe have to finish the encroachment and return the street to the city. Then the city can decide if it's go this way or that way. But I don't believe why to give it for free a piece of land that belongs to everybody in this community to a multi-million company. That's the only question I observe here. It's not fair for nobody. For free, why? They haven't paid taxes for the use of the property for 30 years. They've been having this for free, and now they want not just for free, they want to take care of the property for free. So now that I use for free, now I want you put in my name. Thank you, sir. This is my only question. So I believe we need this street back to the community, because when we have high-rises buildings, we're gonna need a lot of more cars, more people driving around there. So this is my only concern. I don't believe the city will give it for free a piece of land to a multi-billion-dollar company, because these people have all the money in the world. So this is my only concern. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Robert Bamonte. Robert, are you here? Oh, you're here in person. Good evening.
I do. So this, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, is a package of letters that we received from various neighbors around this property that did not get into the, or with your backup. So what I have here is letters of support from Savant Development Group, Rector Progreso 837 LLC, BH3 Management LLC, Tom Moody Insurance, Andriola. She had a repair shop on Andrews. Joshua Levy. Michael Rector again, because he has different pieces of property. 730 Investment LLC. Alan Amador. And can't read this one. Tyler. I'm not sure. I can't read the name.
You want to give them to the clerk, and we'll add them to the record. Thank you.
So, yes.
Mayor, we can't hear all that background talking.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you. I get it. All right, sorry, Commissioner. Please proceed.
Okay, so all of these people are with abutting, or not abutting, but within a block or so of this property. Our intention was to put in retail and a parking garage, which is going to benefit every property in the neighborhood. COVID-19 hit, credit markets dried up, the project stopped. And it's very, very difficult to get people to invest the kind of money it takes to put together a site plan and contracts and everything else. And maybe we're going to get approved for a vacation. Vacating it now will help the project become a reality. It will benefit everybody in the neighborhood. I don't know why that's not understood.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Okay. I have no one else signed up to speak. Is there anyone else here that's asked to speak? If not, would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduce.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or additional comments?
I would just like to maybe discuss it a little bit as a commission before we do go to a vote. You know, when we heard it the first time, I had not heard the concerns from the neighbors at that point, so I really didn't know they existed. So I did support it the first time, but now upon hearing these concerns, my position is changing because I feel like what we're doing is vacating this street to help one business, but may actually hurt a lot of others. So I don't think that's the best use of a city street. I don't know, just like we said, I mean, there was a change in zoning. So we are hoping to see this entire area redevelop. And I just don't know if, once again, what are the implications for the future mobility in the area? I mean, I look at the street, I see the pointy area, but I think of Sunrise and Federal Highway where it comes and it's pointy. And obviously you might have to nip a part of that road off to make it a safe, or that triangle off to make it a safe turn. The zoning board did reject this, and I went back and I was kind of looking at the notes a little bit more, and it made sense, some of their comments. I don't know. I don't feel like I can support, once again, helping one person, but hurting a lot of others.
Well, it seems that there are some people who spoke tonight who spoke against it, but then we were given letters of support also from adjacent property owners. The way I see it is that ultimately Holman is going to develop their entire site, including this, and they can't really do a larger development unless they are able to include all the real estate. I mean, they didn't produce a site plan tonight, but I guess it's going to come down the road.
Right. Well, maybe they can't build a large development, but I bet they could build something with the land they currently own.
Yeah, I think they want to bring it all the way to Progreso, and they can't because that one sliver kind of cuts right in the middle, and that little triangle that's kind of sitting out there is undevelopable on its own. So you have to kind of connect the pieces in order for them to do, for them to include all of the real estate to do a development. So
I understand, but I don't know why we would give a piece of our land, like I believe their points are valid, just to help someone have a bigger project. I mean, you can still build something. It just might not be the mega project you want to build.
But it would leave that little triangle just sitting out there.
The triangle could be something. I'm sure we're all creative. I just don't.
No, it's unbuildable. No, it's unbuildable.
It could be a park.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's not my problem. I just feel like giving somebody something that would help them but hurt others just doesn't make sense.
Okay, that's fine. Anyone else have any comments?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to address that as well.
Hey, Steve, for 1 second. Are we supposed to close the public meeting first? Do we close it?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Good point.
Okay. All right. I'll move to close.
Second.
Move to second to close public hearing. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Moritas?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes. All right, Steve.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and public hearing is now closed. Okay, Commissioner Glassman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I have spoken to folks in the neighborhood. I spoke to the neighborhood association. There are no objections to this from them. The mayor had also alluded to the letters that came in from all of those surrounding neighbors that are supporting the vacation. I have to agree when the mayor says that in essence, it really is a vacation since 1987 and has not been used since that encroachment agreement. When I look at all of the information that's in the backup, and please know, Commissioner Moritas, originally when the applicant proposed the vacation of the right-of-way, it was without the retainment of the access easements, but then that was a revised application from the applicant and include the retainment of utility, pedestrian, emergency vehicle easement rights for the city. So it was like we got a switch on the easements. Even though we give that up, we're going to get the easements in a different way. If you look at all of the ULDR requirements, I think the attorney said there are 6, but I only believe there are 5 criteria for the vacation of rights of way as per the ULDR. That would be section 4724, 6.8.4. There are 5 criteria, and I think it really does meet all 5 of the criteria without a problem. I'm also wanted to stress that we need to make sure that we also get the 3 conditions that are proposed in the backup. Those are also very important. I tried to see where I would find in the 5 criteria where there is a problem, but I don't see it. I think that all 5 of them are met. And I think that, as I said, once the applicant revised the application to grant us that easement for all of those access reasons, I'm in support of the second reading on this application.
Okay, anyone else have any questions or comments? All right, there being none, do I hear a motion to, excuse me, someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
It's been introduced. Please call the roll.
An ordinance vacating that portion of Northeast 8th Street, platted as Avenue C, a 40-foot road right-of-way lying south of and adjacent to Lot 25, Block 257, Progreso, according to the plat thereof, as recorded in Plat Book 2 at page 18 of the Public Records of Dade County, Florida, and retaining a 40-foot non-exclusive utility pedestrian walkway and emergency vehicle access easement located north and east of Progreso Drive, south of Northeast 9th Street and west of Northeast 1st Avenue, all said land situate, lying, and being in the city of Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Vice Mayor Moritas?
No.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Mayor Trentels?
Yes, and the ordinance is approved on second reading. Moving on to OFR 1, first reading. It's an ordinance amending Division 3 rate and charges of Chapter 28 water, wastewater, and stormwater, and so forth and so on. That's a lot to read.
I'm ready.
Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Mayor, before you do that, if I could just weigh in quickly.
Why don't we introduce the ordinance and then we'll have discussion.
Okay. All right.
Would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
Okay, go ahead now.
So yesterday during our agenda briefings, I had some mixed reviews to this particular first reading and how we got to where we are. This is an ordinance in first reading that's intended to make our large consumption and leak credit program with more opportunity to benefit the customer. There was some question as to whether or not we should be here in first reading or if the commission should really weigh in on this before we go to first reading in a conference setting. So I just want to throw that out there that I'm happy to move it to a conference if you want to discuss the finer points of it in any detail, or if you had any other things you would like to recommend. Certainly your pleasure. We thought
you feel sufficiently apprised of the nature and the content of this ordinance proposal that you feel you could vote on it tonight, or do you feel that it needs to be further vetted at a conference meeting to discuss any further details?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think it needs to be further vetted, and the reason why, and I asked some questions, and I think we have been talking about, in particular, the credits. And when I expressed some of the concerns I had, it was, I don't know if it was brought up with everybody else, that maybe we talk about it, add some things at a conference meeting, and then bring it back and move it forward. I mean, I think the idea is good. I think it doesn't have enough of what we got feedback from neighbors from at least in my district.
Anybody else?
Support Commissioner McKenzie on that.
You agree with that, Commissioner Sorensen?
Yeah, I'll absolutely support him. Yep.
Okay. So
I don't know if there's any way to keep the advertising in place to defer from an evening meeting back to conference, or we're going to start over again.
No, you'll need to start over again.
Okay.
But
So then I don't
just remove it from the agenda.
Date certain. I'll just remove it from the agenda tonight.
Can we add a couple comments
Commissioner,
too? Yep.
Vice Mayor?
What about if we have people here, Chris, who would like to speak? Are they
There's
allowed
one
to
person I have who's
stay, or they
not
have to
signed up to
wait?
speak.
No, if the only way they'd be able to speak is if you actually are presenting it. If we're going to take it off and discuss it at conference, there'd be no opportunity to speak.
Okay.
You can't have it both.
All right, so I do feel badly about that. I do, my issues when we do bring it back to conference, one thing I really want to discuss too, Chris, so maybe we can get a little bit more information about this before it comes to conference. I really believe that if we could install the digital water meters, we could nip this in the bud, because the minute someone has an unusual leak, within hours, they'll get a text alert on their phone. They won't get, the $14,000 water bills and stuff. They can shut it off right when they have that. So I'd really like to add the digital water meters to this conversation as well, to help identify the leaks so we don't get big bills. And it's really a water conservation issue in my mind, as well as obviously our neighbors having the unusually high bills that they have to fight for a long time to get any credit. So I do support making it easier for our neighbors to get credits. I want it to be a full credit as much as possible. And I really think this has to coincide with the digital water meters.
Okay, so I'll bring a joint item back. We'll bring in AMI, the automated metering, back as an update, and then we'll talk about this.
Okay, so Catherine Feeney, you had signed up to speak. You're okay with waiting till it's brought back up? Catherine, are you on the line?
It's right here in person. She's in person.
Oh, you're in person. You're okay? We're going to bring it back. We're not going to talk about it tonight. You're welcome to come speak for 3 minutes if you'd like, but we're going to bring it up at a conference meeting to discuss the details of the contents of this. There are some commissioners on the commission who are not comfortable with their knowledge of it, and they want to know more about it. Come on up. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm here on behalf
Put the
of.
microphone closer to you.
Is this okay?
Better.
Yeah, I'm here on behalf of myself and my husband, Michael Fiani, who's lived at this home for 28 years. And I've been back and forth with the city over a bill for $14,000. And the leak occurred underground, and there was no physical evidence until I got a letter from the city. And they have agreed to credit me $7,000, but I'm hoping that the commission will also credit me the additional $7,000, I'm sorry, because they're going to be charging me interest on this balance. And it is, pretty unfortunate, because we've also spent $2,750 to repair the leak. It took 4 different plumbers to find it because it was so deep underground. It occurred from the neighbor's coconut trees, and it'd been there for years and years. So I've disconnected my sprinkler system as not to encourage them to grow on my property. So all I would need is the commissioner's approval or petition to dismiss these additional charges.
All right. Well, that's not what's on the agenda tonight, and that's something that we ask you to take up with our city staff. They're the ones that have the authority.
Yeah, but I've been going back and forth with them for weeks, and they're not willing to do any more than the credit of $7,000.
Okay. Well, again, ma'am, this is not what's on the agenda right now, and I appreciate the problem that you're suffering. I don't know if anyone. I myself got hit with a bill that spiked mysteriously. So, but again, I gave you the opportunity to speak tonight, but that's not regarding this particular.
We can help follow up with your issue. And then Chris, when the commission does vote on a new water rebate with an unusual leak, will cases like this be grandfathered in? Like they can, or the new credit will apply to them also, even though their leak occurred before our vote?
I'm typically not used to applying ordinances retroactively.
Right.
But we have the authority to do that once it comes up.
Well, we'll have to see how it's written. We'll have to check with state statute as well, because we have restrictions with state statute. We have limitations, unfortunately. We can't just.
Okay, so when we vote on a new rebate program when you have a leak. We're going to check to see if it could be retroactive, which means that your leak would apply to this.
Okay.
In the meantime, I know you do live in my district, and I will keep following up with you, and I'll follow up with you when I talk to staff.
Thanks for the consideration.
Okay.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to,
So
Actually,
I'll actually just remove it administratively from the agenda.
I think it was introduced though. Can we just withdraw the word?
okay,
I think it
well,
was
the person who introduced it? Commissioner Sorensen, would you
I might
like?
have- Yeah.
Just withdraw? Great, thank you.
Okay, moving on to OFR 2, it's the first reading of an ordinance amending ordinance number C-18-24, which vacated a portion of Northwest First Avenue right-of-way adjacent to and south of West Sunrise Boulevard to correct the conditions of approval in connection with the Progreso Commons development located at 947 North Andrews Avenue. Someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
Introduced.
Been introduced. Just like to call the roll.
An ordinance amending ordinance number C-18-24 of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which vacated a portion of Northwest First Avenue to revise the conditions of approval, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Kenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes, and the ordinance is approved on first reading. This is an ordinance OSR 1 on second reading. Ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Section 10-47 of Chapter 10 regarding cemeteries. Someone like to introduce the ordinance?
Introduced.
Okay, any questions? Please call the roll.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, amending Section 10-47 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, entitled Municipal Cemetery System Funds, to provide a definition of corpus and to include real property acquisition as an authorized purpose for expenditure of income of the Perpetual Care Trust, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinance provisions, and providing for an effective date. Vice Mayor Moritas?
Yes.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Mayor Trentalis?
Yes. And that ordinance is now approved on second reading. We have, we now have the walk-on, which, do I have a copy of that? Thank you. Okay, we have a walk-on resolution, resolution of the City Commission, City of Florida, urging Florida legislature to oppose House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012 of the 2021 legislative session banning certain transgender students from participating in athletics, and directing the city clerk to transmit this resolution to the governor, the Senate president, the Speaker of the House, and members
Hey,
of the
your audio got funky, I think.
state legislative delegation. Was my audio got funky?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just me. There's background noise from some.
Yeah, there is background noise.
Okay, keep going. You're fine.
There's something.
Okay. And the members of the Broward State Legislative Delegation. Have you, any of you had a chance to review this? Do you have any questions? Any further comments?
I do have a comment, Mayor.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I will not be supporting this tonight. And to me, this issue is really about women's rights. I mean, we fought long and hard for equity in women's athletics. Now that we're almost there, we still have a long way to go. You know, we're going to change the rules to allow the biologically stronger men to replace females on the field or pool or wherever you're competing. You know, there are limited spots already for females, for team members to play, to make the team, to start on a team. I had when I watched my high school daughters play water polo for 6 years, a lot of times they practice with the men's team also. And there was just a huge difference between the male players and the female. And so to me, this is about women's rights and women's equity in athletics, and I will not be supporting it. And I obviously know, the rest of the commission may support it. And I would not like my name to be listed on it if possible. I don't know if it says from the commission. But I prefer my name not being listed on the resolution.
And I echo Vice Mayor, and that's my position.
Okay. One person has signed up to speak. Is Edward?
Mayor, are we allowed to respond to that before the people speak?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to take exception to what Vice Mayor Moritas just said and what Commissioner McKenzie is echoing. That language, that's nothing but just misinformation, fake news. These bills have nothing to do with women's rights and women's rights in sports. That is such a mischaracterization of these bills. First of all, for almost 10 years, all of the athletic associations in Florida and the United States of America have processes and policies in place. So what Commissioner McKenzie and Vice Mayor Moritas are saying about all of a sudden a male student who decides that he's a transgendered female is going to jump over to a field in one day from being a fully developed male is just ridiculous. You have to pass certain testosterone tests. You have to go through a screening process. There are processes in place, and that's why the NCAA is against this bill and bills like this in 25 states in the United States. Everyone knows why these bills have surfaced in the United States. It has nothing to do with women's rights or women's rights in sports. I'm actually offended by that interpretation of these bills because it's so far from the truth. These bills do nothing but demean and also marginalize young people who are already marginalized and demeaned enough in our society. If you take a look at the instances where there have been cases of transgender female students participating in K through 12 or college, you're probably looking at less than 12 people in the state of Florida in the last 10 years where this has even been a case or an issue. So why this bill, other than to just rev up the folks that hear the word transgender and they think, oh my God, what's going to happen? These bills are reminiscent of the bathroom bills and those arguments that we went through in so many states. It's just offensive on so many levels. We have an anti-discrimination human rights ordinance in the city of Fort Lauderdale. This bill flies in the face of our anti-discrimination human rights ordinance. And I dare, and I'm going to say this to Commissioner McKenzie, you substitute the word transgender in these bills for Black or Jewish or Asian, and I want to see if there's going to be an outcry in the community if we say, oh, a Black student can't participate in sports, or a Jewish student can't participate in sports, or an Asian student can't participate in sports. I dare anyone to say that that would be acceptable. Well, you know what? It's no less objectionable when it's a transgender student. I'm sorry. This resolution speaks to our values as a city. This resolution speaks to our intent in our anti-discrimination human rights ordinance that we passed 5-0. And I hate to say this, Vice Mayor, but if this city passes a resolution, we're all included. You might be in the minutes saying you're opposed to it, but if names are listed, names are listed. I don't think they are. I just think it says the city of Fort Lauderdale. Alan can express that a little bit, but I think that it comes from the city of Fort Lauderdale. You know, we all make tough decisions, but we have to make sure that we can play the tough games also. And that's the tough decisions that we sometimes face. Again, this resolution, I'm sorry, is in opposition to a bill that has nothing, and I want to repeat this as many times as I can say it, has nothing to do with women's rights and women's rights in sports. If we were so concerned about that, then why aren't we just pushing for more money in women's sports? And why aren't we making sure that they're treated the same in terms of equal pay as men's sports? No, that's a whole separate issue. We cannot conflate the two. Thank you, Mayor.
So, Commissioner, I'm actually offended because you're using words like interpretation and values and stuff. I'm actually offended that you keep attacking I feel like me personally, in my interpretation of how I feel, I do believe this is an attack on women's rights and women's opportunities in sports. And that is my interpretation. And like I said, I'm offended that you keep attacking me and how I feel. You can attack the resolution or the legislation but I'm entitled to my feelings and my position, and I represent a lot of people that feel the same way. I don't attack you and your positions, but I'm defending my position.
And I am not attacking you personally, and I apologize if you feel that way. I'm attacking your position, not you personally. I'm attacking the words that you are using to demonize and marginalize students in our community who are transgender, and they have every opportunity to participate in women's sports K through 12.
And side by side with transgendered athletes. I believe deeply that we are to stand with and support our transgendered members of our community, and that the folks in our society who tend to be marginalized and discounted are the people that I hope my daughters will stand up for and stand next to as they compete on the field or in the pool or on the track. And I proudly support this, and I look forward to the day where we have continued growth and acceptance of everyone, regardless of gender and orientation and race and creed. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. We have Edward Marty Kring, who is Edward on the line?
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And thank you for the acknowledgement. My name is Edward Marty Kring, and my address is 1504 Bay Road, Miami Beach, Florida. And I'm the field and community organizer with SAVE, South Florida's longest serving LGBTQ advocacy organization. And I'm here today to express our gratitude to Commissioner Glassman for bringing forward this resolution to condemn House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012. House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012 would categorically ban transgender youth from all sex segregated sports, overriding parents and coaches while denying kids the unique opportunities to grow and to learn from what sports provide. These bills rob children from valuable life lessons. Transgender youth, like other students, deserve the same chances to learn teamwork, sportsmanship, leadership, and self-discipline, and to build a sense of belonging with their peers, Mr. Mayor. Transgender students want the opportunity to play sports for the same reasons that other students do, to be a part of a team where they feel like they belong. We shouldn't discriminate against any student by banning them from playing sports just because they're transgender. Tonight, this commission, by passing this resolution, you are not only sending the message to the Florida legislature, this is bad policy, you are sending a very clear message to transgender students that you see them, you value them, and you want them to have all of the same opportunities as their peers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and your fellow commissioners for your support and your leadership.
All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else from the public who's signed up to speak or has an interest in speaking? Anyone here in the audience? Okay, let me just say a few words on this. The modern world has certainly been faced with a lot of challenges, and today we talk about pandemics and racial inequities, and certainly we're an enlightened world today in which we recognize differences and try to embrace those differences. I remember growing up and being a gay male and having to accept the fact that not everyone understood what that meant, and even to this day there are many folks out there who don't quite understand what sexual orientation means and how it impacts interpersonal relationships. I think society is coming to understand sexual orientation a little bit more. And I think one of the ways of doing that is, of course, to know somebody who's a person who is a member of the gay or lesbian community. Transgender has become talked about more now as more and more individuals feel comfortable talking about it. And so, clearly, what is a transgender person? A person who is born of one sex, but feels they have the hormonal instincts of the opposite sex, and it's complicated. I mean, I don't understand it, but a person who's transgender has to live with that, and a person who's transgender can remain their birth sex, or science has gotten to the point where they can allow that person to be transformed, I guess is the word, to the sex that they feel most comfortable in. So does that mean that in this particular case, you're going to find men playing and girls teams? It doesn't work that way, because those guys that were born a male have the hormonal instincts of a female. And as they transition, they are given hormonal treatments, and they take on the aspects of being female, and the reverse is the same. Women who feel that they are born as women but have the hormonal instincts of a male go through the same transitioning process. Over the years, I've represented a number of transgender people, trying to get their birth certificates changed, trying to get their driver's licenses changed, to allow them to those documents to represent the gender that they believe that they are. I don't think anybody who's transgender is trying to get one up on anybody. So a guy who transitions to be a female, I don't think they're looking for trying to take advantage of other women. I don't think it's intended to be as a threat to other women. I don't think they have an advantage over other women. The same is the reverse. So women that transition to be guys, I don't think they feel that they're going to be a threat to other men, and they just want to fit in. They just want to be included. They just want to say that, I really am a guy, or a guy that transitions to a girl wants to say, I really am a woman. And it's a complicated, very complicated thing. Even within the gay community, we all still try to understand that amongst ourselves. So, like I said, it's a new world. We are an enlightened people. We're trying to understand the human condition, and I don't think demonizing and marginalizing these folks is the way to address it. The way to address it is to, first of all, love one another, and to embrace one another, and to try to understand one another. And I think that these two bills that are being proposed, both in the House and the Senate, are in no way attempting to do that. The attempt here is to try to demonize these individuals, and to try to forever cast them out of mainstream society, when in fact they should have a chance like everybody else. So I'm not sure what the likelihood of its leaving the Senate is ever going to be. I hear through people that are working in the Senate right now that this bill will probably die within the next few days, as it should, but it should never be resurrected either. And this should never be part of who we are here as Floridians, because we can do better. We are better. We are better people than this. So I'm going to support this resolution, and I support the words of both Commissioner Sorensen and Glassman, and I really feel that as a society, we should try to be more understanding of one another, and to try to respect the differences that we have. And I think the passage of this resolution would be a signal to the world that this commission does just that. So if there's no further discussion, would someone like to introduce the resolution?
Introduced.
The resolution has been introduced. Please call the roll.
And Mr. Wallow, the mayor read it in the header in its entirety, so I don't need to read it again, correct?
You can go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just got a text that people has said they've been waiting to speak, but they haven't been recognized.
No one has signed up to speak other than that one person.
Okay. Thank you.
Does the clerk have
All I
any
can
other?
say, Mayor, is we have 7 attendees that are on at this point that are not panelists. One of them has already spoken, so I guess I could ask.
Let's just go forward and vote on this.
Okay, the mayor's made a decision. Okay, thank you.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, urging the Florida Legislature to oppose House Bill 1475 and Senate Bill 2012 of the 2021 legislative session, banning certain transgender students from participating in athletics and directing the city clerk to transmit this resolution to the governor, the Senate president, the Speaker of the House, and the members of the Broward State Legislative Delegation. Vice Mayor Moritas?
No.
Commissioner Glassman?
Yes.
Commissioner McKenzie?
Commissioner McKenzie, you're on mute.
I don't believe he's at the meeting.
We left the meeting.
Not present. Commissioner Sorensen
Yes.
and Mayor Trentalis.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, and thank you, members of the commission who voted in favor of this. Is there any further business of the commission?
I do have one.
I have nothing, so.
Yeah, I have a request, a closed door request. I'm seeking the commission's counsel for the next meeting pursuant to section 286.011 Florida statutes in the matter of Christina and Tom McGurk versus City of Fort Lauderdale. Should only need about 20 minutes.
Is it a closed door session?
Yes.
Okay. Any further business? Meeting adjourned.